top story on ABC News Breakfast. High income earners are set to pay more for their private health insurance. The federal government's means test on the private health insurance rebate is expected to pass the lower house this morning.
Independent MP Rob Oakeshott has confirmed he will support the legislation, therefore giving the government the crucial vote it needs. The opposition is warning the move will drive people out of the private system. For more, political correspondent Melissa Clark joins us now from Canberra. Melissa, good morning. That vote now but a formality, expected to happen at some stage this morning.
That's right. There will be a speech given to Parliament this morning by Julia Gillard on the anniversary of this apology to the stolen generation, the Closing the Gap speech. So it won't happen straight away. But once that's over, debate will resume on this bill and it will pass through the lower house this morning. Rob Oakeshott, in giving his speech to Parliament last night, made it clear he will be backing the government's move to means test the private health insurance rebate. He'd been keeping everyone on tenterhooks, not confirming that he would swing in behind the government on this one. But last night, in speaking to the chamber, he made it clear that there are a couple of reasons why he was going to back this, and largely because he says that things need to be done to make sure that the health budget is sustainable, and he says that it doesn't make sense for higher income earners to be subsidising lower income earners, and that when it comes to this particular element, the costs are rising. He had a bit of a swipe at some of the private health insurance companies and some of those in the industry. He accused them of having Chicken Little moments, claiming that the sky would fall in if this move goes through. But he says he's been looking at the public statements that many of these companies have to make to the markets about any future issues that might arise with their earnings or memberships. And he says when you look at those statements to the markets, it's clear they're not expecting the massive exodus that they might be warning in some of their commentary around this issue. So Rob Oakeshott making it clear that he will support this bill and that it will help it go through the lower house sometime today.
Passage has also been secured care of a deal between the government and the Greens. The Greens not completely happy with the outcome of that compromise.
What we have is the federal government saying that a fair chunk of the money from the increased Medicare levy surcharge for high-income earners who don't take up private health insurance will go towards dental measures that the government puts in place. But what we don't have is a wholesale commitment to using all of this funding or even more money to have a universal Denticare scheme, which is what the Greens ultimately want. Now, Tanya Plibersek, the Health Minister, in talking about this to Lateline last night, made it clear that something on that scale that the Greens are seeking is more than just a little bit difficult.
A universal dental scheme like the ones the Greens Party have described sometimes in the past would cost $5 to $6 billion a year. I don't think that any government is in a position to flick the switch one day and the next day be talking about a $5 or $6 million dental scheme. We do have to do better, but we have to target the people who need the most help first.
Tanya Plibersek there. And finally, Melissa, that Australia Day protest involving members of the Aboriginal Tent Embassy continues to haunt the Gillard government.
It does, everywhere it turns. Not only did it feature in some of the Senate estimates hearings yesterday, with the Australian Federal Police grilled over their handling of the matter, but we also had on at 7:30 last night new vision of the protest that was taking place, which shows how some of that information was passed along from outside to the protesters involved. And it certainly raises questions again about precisely what information was passed on to an intermediary between the Prime Minister's office and the protesters, in particular Unions ACT Kim Sattler. Let's hear some of that new footage that came to light on the 7:30 program last night.
You want me to give you the details? Yeah. They're both in a reception at the Lobby restaurant, which is just up the corner, and Abbott's just made a statement to the press that 10 embassies should be pulled down. He's over there.
Our Deputy Prime Minister Tony Abbott is over there, and he's just made a statement to the press that the tent embassy should be pulled down. Over there! Come and say it here, Tony Abbott!
Tell everybody to go over there.
I was asked to put this message across. Can everybody go over that way?
Let's go look for Tony.
Go look for Mr. Rabbit.
And Gillard.
And Gillard.
So an interesting new insight into just how events unfolded on that day, and of course that will be a crucial part of the investigation that's being done by the Australian Federal Police.
Melissa Clark in Canberra, thank you.